Oh my god, yes, they were so hype. I did a video straight after. I was a bit high on caffeine and no sleep, but it was fantastic to see Grounded 1.0 release date. I gave you my analysis, we went through it all. But there were a few things that you guys were telling me in the comment section, and there was a few things I thought about afterwards. So let's discuss all that, plus what happens between now and September's full release, as much as I know. Let's go. So it's pretty incredible to see the actual trailer, and it highlighted a whole bunch of the stuff that, again, I have spoken about in the past with my leaks videos. Of course, there was a lot that wasn't shown, and I think that's one of the first things we'll just get out of the way. They're obviously not going to show everything in this one trailer, what's coming in 1.0. They clearly want to save some stuff, as they alluded to in a press release they eventually did do, and a post they put on their forum. In terms of the biomes, we were kind of limited. We only saw glimpses of possibly the undershed laboratory, although we did get this brand new image of the upper yard. So it is, as I said in the analysis video, it looks like a tree trunk has been snapped in half. So you will still have a trunk, then you've got this second piece of that trunk laying on its side. If we flip back to this image, you can see it in the top right corner, both of them. So it should go without saying, please don't build anywhere in that zone. It's definitely obviously not maybe final, and there are still maybe lots of changes to come. We can't guarantee that this coffee percolator is still going to be in that same spot. Likewise, any of this other stuff is still going to be there. We have seen a lawnmower in previous dev builds plenty of times, but yeah, it doesn't mean it's definitely going to be all there. Some of you guys pointed out it maybe wasn't a fence, and I think you're right, it does look like possibly a ladder, albeit a little bit square and chunky, that's on the side. Maybe laying down on its actual side lengthways. Something else I just noticed, there's a brand new tap by looks of things on the side of the shed. I don't remember seeing that before. And again, a lot of comments from the videos yesterday highlighting that yes, there's an extra space. I think there's always been an extra space in the case. So I'm still saying I think it's Wendell. There isn't going to be a fifth character. Not at this late stage. I feel like it would be a bit weird for them to add that so far late in the game. And if we go further back as well, thinking about the intro, again, it was pointed out that more teenagers have gone missing. So are all the bones that we found a whole plethora of kids that have gone missing in the backyard? What has Wendell been doing with these kids? Maybe getting them over to come and mow the lawn, and then, hey, ho, I'm going to actually zap you and get you to do my testing, or try and survive for whatever nefarious reasons. And then again in the next shot, not that I want to go over this too much, but just to reconfirm, it does look like there is going to be some sort of pink palace in the upper yard. Again confirmed later on when we see the green screen saying home, and you can clearly see that is definitely that same structure. It's just obviously blacked out here or greened out. It will be the pink palace. Now it's not to say again all of this is going to stay there. Again, we could see changes, and we have seen a few shots from this trailer that have clearly been made from other bits of the game or previous builds or previous trailers. Like when the lasers go off, it clearly shows absolutely nothing in the backyard or the upper yard. Stuff we haven't seen in this trailer, of course, any references to possibly a butterfly or dragonfly. That's the biggest indication that was recently added to the files of a new kind of boss. And certainly no indication of things like earwigs and silverfish. Again, more leaked stuff. Obviously also wasps didn't make any kind of appearance. I think we should probably get this out of the way. I don't think that we saw the overlarge creatures in this trailer as actually proper bugs. I feel that they just took some liberties and actually increased the size of some of these just to make them look a bit better for the trailer. I'll be glad if I'm wrong, it's only an opinion. I just think that they've probably done this, which they have done in the past, made things a little bit different or included stuff like the wizard's hat, and we never saw it in the trailer. So I think they've just oversized a white spiderling here. Likewise, in this next shot as well, we see what seemingly looks like a leech or slug. I don't think I ever really thought it'd be any of them. I thought it was kind of an antlion, but it just moved differently because it's outside of the sandbox over the wood. And then again, we see the brood mother by the looks of things with its back to us, pretty much the same size as a bombardier beetle, or not much bigger than a stink bug. So again, I think they've took some license with that. Likewise, that is a scarab beetle, but I think it's just an oversized one. Why would they do that? Well, actually, a lot of trailers like this get outsourced, or it's part of a different department. Maybe they just got some of the actual calculations a bit wrong. Like, clearly there's a lot of in-game shots. I'm not disputing that the dev team have done that themselves, but these shots at the end particularly, they do look a little bit more CGI'd and engineered. So I don't feel I need to go over the stuff with the Black Widow. I'm pretty sure that is the Black Widow. I know a few people were stating that, or maybe it's a different type of spider. Come on now, the Black Widow is in the game files. We know it's not going to be a boss, so it could be okay and be actually in the actual hedge area. I don't think these are revamped orb weavers. Yes, it is in the same position as where the hedge laboratory is now, but there will be a second hedge, and again, I feel like they just added this for effect in a good location somewhere. It doesn't mean this is going to be the final home of them, but you never know. Another myth I'm hopefully going to bust, this isn't a brown out. It's literally just the red one, just in different lights. It's not going to be a third playable set of ants added to the game. At least I don't think so anyway. You can disagree me all you want on that one. Shout out to Ben the Gecko. I think he pointed out, since he works in the plumbing trade, that these look like they're pipes underneath a house rather than in the ground. I think that could be a good shout, but we don't know that maybe the shed isn't like a little mini man cave. Maybe it's actually got a toilet inside it, etc. But yeah, that could be a good shout. But so far, the only excavations we know of are pretty close to that shed area, and it's pretty extensive. So I'd be quite surprised if we've got even more tunnels going well under the house in the future. And then yeah, something I didn't kind of expect, but it blew me away, the Abomination. Well, that's what I called it anyway, but I did also mention I thought it was the creature on the D&D set, and it looks so much like these, absolutely, rather than these. I think the devs said they'd done this as more or less a joke, just to have a bit of fun. But as I pointed out ages ago, I felt like it was a bit weird to have these figures prominent in the D&D set if there wasn't maybe something going to happen with them in the future. So this is as best as I could get them to line up nicely, but you can clearly see they've got the similar style fingers. Yes, the one on the right is seemingly only has 3, but that's just the shot, I do believe. I reckon there will be a 4th behind it. The lower arm parts and lower leg parts look exactly the same. The only key difference is the guys on a D&D have these grass skirts. And of course our boy here is in his whitey tighties. I swear they're the same colour underpants as also a scab. Maybe they are Ominent Technologies issued underpants, and I still think this is actually Wendell. I'm not sure we're going to be running around after loads of these or encounter them in these areas. I think this is Wendell. With his experiments have gone utterly wrong. We know he's experimenting with the Brussels sprouts. Clearly his legs are made out of that same material. And who knows, maybe his head might actually be a berry, just like we've seen some of the ones with a huge set of teeth in it. But for now, I'm saying that yeah, they're very much close to the D&D characters, and I think that is Wendell. So this one was a bit of a hot topic in Discord, how much of this means that we're going to get all of this in the update. But I feel like it's a mix of what we've already had in early access. Like base defense we've already had, upgraded armor we've already had, wild biomes we've kind of already had. Clever crafts to me means stuff like being able to nearly automate, like you can grab all items from one, put them in the other, and it just needs that final bit of automation added, so you can set off a chain and your web goes into the spinner, then it comes out there and you can go ahead and start making pieces of armor if you want it to. We know they've had powered base pieces up on the roadmap for ages, so I think that'll be the final piece that we may see added to the game, or it might even come in an update before the full release. And then huge bosses, of course, we've had the Broodmother, but we've got more bosses like the Mantis that we clearly see. So yeah, I feel like this is it. It's just accentuating some of the stuff we've had and a little bit of what we've got, but I don't think there's anything here that's going to be amazingly different that you come to expect. So I didn't really mention too much about the story, as I'm more of just a sandbox guy. I like making my own stories. But yes, of course, a conclusion. We're going to be maybe grown bigger, maybe, or are we going to still be small for the sequel? It does look like there may be another Tase T coming to the game, Tase TX. You never know, this might just be something that Wendell was messing around with and in the end he didn't do, but it definitely looks like some sort of connection here with salt and pepper. Is this Tase T going to have just more grappling arms, or was this just like the prototype version of Tase T? This shot with Max looks absolutely cool as heck. Do I think it's going to be a pose that we'll be able to do? No. Well, in actual fact, I swear it's just a slow-mo version. I'm pretty sure the animations for that, when you block, you bring the blade up to your basically face. So no, I don't think it's another way to hold or handle the sword. That was something else I'd seen floating around. The next shot with the lasers, that is using old footage or an old dev build or an old cinematic, as it has pretty much the spacer looking its old design. Can't believe I didn't work out that this is pretty much Black Ops armor. I was saying that maybe, yeah, it's maybe the horns and what's the fur made out of, and I was going on about antlion stuff. Forgive me, like I said, I was a bit overtired covering so much news. But yeah, it's the fur from the Black Ops armor. It has to be. I can't see any other creature that we'd be getting that from. Maybe the horns though. The horns do look a bit more different. The Black Ops horns are very much more squat and thick and fat. They're nowhere near the kind of slender sort of horns that we see on the helmet. Now this was the elite ant armor, the black ant queen that we've seen before. It definitely doesn't look like that, does it? I think people are getting a bit confused because in other videos that tubers have done, they thought that maybe the mantis pieces that we'd seen in the in-game art was going to be more brown ants and stuff. And some of the imagery underneath that showed some green orbs, which do look a little bit like this, I have to say, but they definitely look more like eyes to me. As far as I'm concerned, that's a Weevil shield that Max is using in there and not a just new one. And then yeah, super excited to see obviously the mantis added. I do still think this is a terrarium. I do think it's not going to be just an area in the bushes. It looks just a bit too dark. I know it's a bit of light peeping through. As many bug offendiendos have pointed out, that these kinds of creatures wouldn't survive long if they were ever actually released out in the wild. Not in wherever in America this game is kind of set. I don't think the devs are too keen on being 100% accurate. They've said in the past they haven't resized everything 100% to scale always, and they're taking some artistic liberties. But yeah, I think this is still going to be a terrarium that's kind of in the ground, or that is just what a terrarium looks like with all the bushes around the edges of the glass. I also feel like the branch in this clip is just a bit too small compared to some of the other branches we've seen in the berry bush. So even more reason it's going to be a terrarium, and that makes sense. An arena, just like the Broodmother. Devs don't want these bosses crawling around in the overworld, so somewhere specific where it can be contained and we summon it. So there we go, another in-depth analysis of my analysis and answering some of your comments that you guys left. So what happens next though between now and September? Well, Adam's already stated we're going to get some more updates. Whether or not we're going to get big chunky ones, obviously not. I think we won't see an update now until possibly August. I don't think they're going to be doing anything too big or special for July, which will be their 2-year anniversary. If it's so close to release, I just want to probably concentrate and get it all finished. But the next update, I am pretty sure will have some more mechanic changes. Whether or not it's going to be the base defense stuff, which we know they've said they're going to work on, or possibly some of that automation just to get that finalized before the full release. Powered factories or powered buildings has always been actually what it was called, powered buildings. But Adam did say in a previous Q&A that that was something maybe on the high list, but yeah, it wasn't like their ultimate priority. So no, I don't think we're going to get any more of these biomes added. I don't think we're going to see any more additions to the upper yard, or if they are, they're going to be just empty shells. Like we'll see a lawnmower, but there won't be anything underneath it. There won't be any creatures. There won't be any of them additions. Or maybe we'll see the upturned trunk or the sideways tree trunk, but nothing inside it. Just more of that upper yard biome. I think we will see more balanced passes over the armors. We still may see more changes to some of the perks and what they do. I think in the next few months we're going to get lots of changes to do with balance in terms of how much stuff maybe costs to craft and make. I've got a feeling that taming bugs, being able to ride them anyway, I don't think that's going to make it for 1.0. There's just never been real much indication other than Adam saying it's on the priorities list, but yeah, he didn't seem that infused by it other than being cool, but something, yeah, I just don't see him actually adding. But of course the game will receive updates after 1.0, and that's when I feel like we'll get some of this stuff added in the future. Thinking about it from a game point of view, how will mounts affect the game's story right now? Could it just be something that comes as part of the survival sandbox update in the future? I'm sure there's loads of stuff that, as I said, we're not privy to in this trailer that's going to be incoming. I am confident we're still going to see a bunch of other bugs added maybe last minute as that surprise, and certainly the underlab areas are going to be a real challenge. But again, let me know what you guys think about the trailer, about 1.0. But yeah, don't expect big chunky updates. It will be stuff, balancing changes, maybe more kind of iterations on base defense, and possibly, hopefully, maybe something to do with maybe powered buildings. Will we see stuff like the coziness come into the game? Yeah, that could be a mechanic they left last minute if they're going to add it at all. Whatever happens though, I'll be here every step of the way. I'm going to be ramping up even more grounded content from now till September, I can't wait to get my hands on the final release. So until next time, rat bags, laters.